and many more. But here I want to iterate a very important parts that do not use carbon fiber and glass fiber parts for anything that touches skin. I think this is an important distinction. We have seen people printing masks with carbon fiber. That's a no-go. It's not going to cause any serious health hazard, but it's just not a good thing because some people may have irritation. I'll get into that a little bit more later. So the benefit of fiber, as I mentioned, is you can increase the hardness. It's make it easier to print because a lot of plastic, it will warp when you heat it up and cool it down. Having fiber in there make it stiffer, so it doesn't warp. It will stay on the bed easier. It's also easier you can do annealing. Because when you anneal a plastic material, you also wrap and shrink. Having fiber in there will reduce that and make it easier to work with. Weight reduction, there's many benefits there. And also there's actually two very interesting things we found is that when using powderized carbon fiber, it makes the skin, the surface of the print have a matte finish. It looks a lot nicer. And also one very surprising thing is that some of the carbon fibers can increase the flow rate. It's counterintuitive, but we believe that's because the carbon fiber, you don't have to melt it, and it also has a better heat conductivity, so it helps the plastic melts. And we noticed that in some of our filaments. Okay, and now the challenge of printing of carbon fiber filaments is that you need harder nozzle, because the carbon fibers are pretty stiff. You will grind out your non-regular nozzles. There's problems with the clogging, and also the cost of carbon fiber is higher than the regular filaments. Now, some other problems with printing carbon fiber filaments that there's a lot of unclear marketing. Many of them, they don't tell you what type of carbon fiber is in there. They don't tell you how to handle it properly. Also the percentage in there. So this is actually a pretty big problem in our industry. And then also some of the concerns that you have, there's some handling consideration when you're handling with this kind of materials. Now we're getting into, I think, the part where most people come here for the presentation. So this is a PAHT carbon fiber. It's a close-up shot of the filament. Now the chart fiber size is usually between 0.2 to 0.6 millimeter. It's very, very short. It's not going to go deep into your skin. It can cause problems, but it's not going to go deep into skins. And if you look at it just from this close-up, it doesn't seem like much of problems. But if you zoom in, I got this picture from Nathan Builds Robots video. So if you really zoom in, you can see this is where the filament goes, but some of the little fibers is going to stick out on the side. And that can, puncture your skin just slightly a little bit. Most of the time it's not going to be a problem, but some people may be allergic to this. And this is what we're going to be thinking about when we're dealing with that. And there's also some other issues when you have the facing is that if your print has a lot of corners, and you can see the fibers are stiff, if you turn a corner, I apologize for the picture, but if you see closely, there's actually small fibers sticking out. Because when it turns, the fiber doesn't turn. It will come out, and you have to watch out for corners when using fiber filaments. And also, this is another case where you have to be careful. Is that if your filament is wet and it has moisture in there during printing, it's gonna vaporize. It's gonna push things around. And so wet filaments, there's more chance to push the fiber off the alignment, so it's going to have a better chance to stick it out a little bit more. So that's another reason for you to keep your filament dry, because so otherwise your fiber is going to kind of sticking out on the side. Now, how to deal with that? You don't really need fancy equipment. Standard PU glove, you can buy tons of it on Amazon. Will work. If you print resin, you must have the blue type of glove available. These will be thick enough to protect your hand. You don't need like very fancy, very expensive tools with that. And some of them like to use the anti-cutting glove. That would be nice, but it's not required. And the symptom for this is rare based on our user experience. I think we got one case out of many users we have. but usually it's some kind of rash. But when I try to test it myself, like I actually intentionally try to get myself to be punctured by the carbon fiber, you can feel a little sting on the fingertip. So if you do that, then maybe put on some glove. You don't want to take the chance on that. I'm no medical professional, but as common in this kind of discussions, that if any kind of discomfort, you should consult your medical professional really quickly. And right, and now what happens if you touch it and you feel maybe there's some carbon fibers or glass fiber in your finger? What do you do? The last slides tell you to use like a medical tape and tape over and just kind of seal peel away. I skipped that to show you the picture. I think that's easier than to read that. If you don't have medical tapes, duct tape will work too. Just don't peel too quickly. It's like working with a wood splinter. But this will remove basically most of that. And your body will kind of slowly push it out too. So don't panic if you got a little bit on your hand, but also take it seriously, like, remove them if you can. And now the air quality issues. I think that's another topic that we have to talk about with carbon fiber. It's a good practice to have a HEPA air filter with active carbon in your printing space. That's just a good practice, no matter what you print resins or you print filaments. And for powderized carbon fiber filament, which is generally for the look, those, because it's powderized carbon fiber, it goes into air easier. So you definitely want to have an air filter for that. And if you run like a print shop, you probably want to go with something mass. If you have like a lot of printers, especially running with ABS and ASA prints, and some of them has fibers in them. All right. And lastly, are there other solutions for that? One thing we try to address this issue is to have the type of filament that has more of the fiber inside, and it's kind of encased by plastics, so it's harder to kind of stick out. And another benefit of this kind of design is that the plastics are more on the outside, so it has better layer-to-layer adhesion. And you can also load more carbon fiber in the middle, so it makes it actually stronger. We have some sample of that at our booth if you want to come by and talk. Yeah, and that's really kind of my short presentation. But again, my goal is to make sure you guys handle this safely, but it's not like a very dangerous filament, so don't panic, stop printing. So yeah, thank you. I'm open to questions. Yeah.
Sandy.
Hi, Cindy. Oh, sorry, I missed that slide. I personally don't recommend you sand with carbon fiber. It's really stiff, and you might powderize it to go in. Now, if you have specialized equipment, you could, but because in this event, a lot of people are beginners, I really don't recommend you to do the sanding. One slide is missing here, and I think it would be very useful for a lot of you, is that if you have a part that people might touch occasionally, and you want to protect other people, one way to do it I've seen is that they put epoxy resin on the print. Epoxy resin is the only type of resin that will grab on nylon pretty well. So that's an inexpensive way to protect your hand or your co-worker's hand if they use that. Any questions? So for us, it will be available toward the end of October. Yeah, it's been tested. Yeah.
Is that less abrasive than
That it will be less. It will be also easier to print and less abrasive. But you still can get some of the fibers a little bit under that, so it will still grind the nozzle. Oh, go ahead. It's not a solid. If it's solid, it will be continuous, and you will violate one of the patents from that team. So it will be a lot of short fibers, it's kind of centered in the mix with some plastic in there. The way you do it is you actually do double extrusion. So you extrude one, and then you kind of cover on top of that. Yeah, I see some hands here. Oh, go ahead. No, because like the lady asked here, it's kind of a mix of the plastics, so it's actually together very well. Yeah, it's not just the carbon fiber inside, and it's not only only the plastic on the outside. So yeah, it doesn't separate. Yeah.
What's the highest percentage carbon fiber that you guys have been able to get to print successfully?
So that's 25%. If you don't try to concentrate the fiber in the center, you will start losing a lot of layer adhesion on the outside, and the print becomes a lot weaker. I've seen people lower it up to 30, but it's not really useful anymore. So we can do it up to 25. It also makes it easier to anneal, because then the part becomes even stiffer. By volume, yes. Thank you for that. That's a very important question, yeah. All right, thank you.